Growing up, I had a really, really confusing view of who God was. At 8 years old, I was baptized as a Mormon, and I never really knew who Jesus was, and I had a completely messed up view on what Christianity was or how it was even supposed to take place, and that led to me being even more confused and a lifestyle of crime and drugs and running from God my entire life. And it was actually in a little town called Sapulpa in Oklahoma that I encountered God in a real way. I was stranded. I had nothing but the clothes on my back and no home to go to. And I ended up at a little church, Westside Free Will Baptist of all places. And I remember calling a family member and them saying, "You need to humble yourself before the Lord." And I thought, that's crazy. How can they be telling me to do this? So I went up to the church doors in the middle of summer in Oklahoma, sweating, and they were locked. And it just so happened that some deacons in that church happened to be across the street. And so they drove up, and they asked me what I was doing. And I said, well, honestly, I was just trying to get out of the sun and the heat. And they looked at me and they saw straight through me. And they said, "Where are you sleeping tonight?" And I'd been sleeping behind the church, and I just broke down and started crying. Anyways, long story short, they helped me out, and they said, "We'll help you out on one condition, that you come to church with us." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." Well, that Sunday, I found myself in church, and I couldn't even tell you what the sermon was on. But I remember them giving an altar call, and something was just pulling me to the altar. Something was giving me a divine persuasion. And so I remember getting up, and I remember the man, Lance, slapping his pew when I got up. And I just dove headfirst into the altar, and I remember crying out to God and giving my life to him. And I couldn't tell you how long I was down there, but I remember getting up and looking around, and I was surrounded by men and women of God that were just praying with me, and were just happy to see someone come to repentance and to the Lord. And that was my divine persuasion. That was the beginning of the great work that God is still doing in my life.